What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast. I'm Brett Morris, your host. It's been a few weeks since I've been behind the mic. Been busy. I went down to Kentucky with some guys for the opener in Kentucky. Had a lot of fun down there. But it's time to get back behind the mic, talk some whitetails. And this week's even better because I get to talk Indiana whitetails with Jay Collett from Blue Collar Whitetails. What's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm
Yeah, no problem, man.
I'm pretty jacked to be here,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you know how it's getting to be that feeling in the air out there.
Oh, especially the last couple of days, it's been in the 50s in the morning. Hell, it's only been the high of like 60 something the last couple of days. It's had me jacked. Like, I was at the flag football practice earlier, and man, just had that chill in the air. I was ready to
Oh
go
man,
get in the tree stand tonight.
yeah. Me and my buddies, we always text back and like, damn, it'd be nice to be in a tree right now.
It was nice to get back in the stand in Kentucky. It was hot. It rained on us quite a bit. We didn't get as much done as we wanted to in the stand. We had one doe down and
Oh yeah,
another doe got missed. It was our first time saddle hunting, and
all right.
like the worst possible location for this doe to come in. Came in from that location, from that angle, and he shot. And I'm gonna put a video out here this week. But when he missed the doe, the broadhead hit a rock, and you should see it, man.
Oh
It looks like a
no,
bottle rocket went off. It's
just
pretty cool.
exploding. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But for somebody that doesn't know you or Blue Collar Whitetails, introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Jake Collett. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Uh, I'm a I'm a husband, a father, two boys. Um, they're ate up with the hunting activities so far, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I'm a truck driver for a living. Uh, yeah, just nonstop. All I think about is whitetail. You always hear about those guys who are like, oh yeah, I'm itching to get out there and itching all this stuff, and then the same people ain't picking up their bows till like 5 days before season. And I'm over here like, how can we improve our setups and all this stuff? So I just live, breathe, sleep whitetail. Um, it's kind of a little bit, again, you hear people that are like, we need the meat, but then they don't really need it. My family, we 100% need the meat just due to financial situations. Um, so like, I have kind of a rule for myself. I kind of hold out for something decent, but as well as I do in Indiana, once that second week of gun comes in, it gets pretty difficult on what's left. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I have to do to feed the family. So
Absolutely, man. I can second that for sure. I like to get. I'm the type of guy, and I've said it on here a million times. I'm the type of guy I like to get my does
yes,
out of the way early. I like to shoot does the first couple weeks of bow season, and then I get to, I would say, hone in. I wouldn't say relax because chasing some big whitetails can be kind of stressful sometimes
oh
if
yes,
you're chasing the right ones. But I like to get the does out of the way early. That way, I got the meat out of the way because I usually like to buy the bundle package here in Indiana where I get
yes,
two does and then the buck or whatever,
yes, sir.
and
Me too.
get them. And did you see that it hiked the price hiked on that?
Oh, dude, I got some controversial thoughts on that.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's
All right,
talk about it.
so here we go.
Bring it
Uh,
on, man.
so yeah, I mean, I know the world is today. Everything's increasing. I understand that, but when you raise the prices and then you say that they're raising due to habitat enhancement, I have not seen one person out here with a chainsaw or some mineral. So I'm kind
Right.
of kind of wondering where that is. I and like I said, not to be hard on the people that don't have the luxury of private land. Like I'm very blessed with my family to be able to hunt urban and my house. Like I can walk out my door and within 200 yards I'm at my stand. Um, that's my main property. So I'm very blessed to have that, and I get some people don't. But you know, would it would it have helped out if there was like a $5 parking fee for like the weekend? You multiply that by all the hunters that come in, that could help the habitat over there because nobody's coming over here. I have to make my land better.
Right.
if that makes sense. I'm not trying to be, a D-bag,
No, I
but
hear you. I hear you.
that was kind of like, me and my buddies were talking. We're like, man, I don't see no one out here hinge cutting.
Right.
so, so
I'm thinking I'm in the same boat as you. I think there's other ways. Maybe if they're trying to get more money for the DNR or for certain properties and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I may have a controversial take on this as well. I think that price hike on this stuff has went up for one reason. I think that's the dust and huff buck. If you
yes,
try non-resident, we have that event coming up in mid-October down south. I feel for some of these guys that are coming in. Most of them are gonna buy the $250, basically chasing a buck only here in Indiana. But if they were to go to buy that same bundle non-resident, it's like $560 or something like that. Personally, I think that's kind of outrageous. That's just my opinion. I know Illinois is kind of high. There's a couple other states. Kentucky's $375 or whatever it is, but $560 to come shoot a few deer out of state. I think that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I think too. For another point on that is, our state gets overlooked a lot. That I've had buddies that have killed some absolute hammers, and everybody always talks about Iowa, Illinois, and then they jump right over us: Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, whatever.
Right.
So I think we're kind of that shadow state. But if like you said, like when I go up to Michigan and hunt my buddies, it's like what, 191, and you get a buck and a doe.
Yep.
That seems okay, reasonable to me. And then plus you got to think of, like, they're coming here, they're going to spend money at the hotel, they're going to spend money at the gas stations, food, all this stuff. 500, man, and especially like when I go up to hunt Michigan, I'll hunt opening weekend or rifle here, and then I'll take that next Friday off work because I think theirs opens on a Monday.
Yeah.
And so I'll go up there and I'll just hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm done. It's search and destroy when we go up there.
Right.
That's
kind of how it is when we went to Kentucky this past, 2 weekends ago or whatever it was, Labor Day weekend. It's the same type of thing. They spent $375 or whatever it is to go down there to shoot something. By God, they're going to shoot something. And the one doe that was killed was a decent doe. We got the back straps in the crock pot for dinner one night, and that was good. But if you think about it, it takes people 5 years to draw for Iowa, and it's $650. Is Indiana comparable to Iowa? I don't know that. You can't make that comparison. That's hard. We're both Midwest states. We're both corn belt sort of situation. We have big deer here, but I don't know if it's worth $560. I've been buying my preference points for Iowa. I am ready for that in 2028. That's crazy. That's that far away from hunting there. But I think I like being the shadow state. I think I like people, and of course the DNR is not going to say that. They want people to spend the money. They want people to come in and put money towards the economy, hotels, restaurants, just like you said, which I get that too. But I think if you really want people to come in from out of state to hunt your land, I think you need to decrease that quite a bit.
Yeah, or do how there's no special antler lists anymore. Be like, all right, $80. You can go out there and kill one with a rifle. You got 1 week. I mean, right. I'd take that opportunity, but that's just right. If I had it, I'd do it, but because we need it. So that's just a short sum of me and my thoughts on the whole increase on tags there.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's and it seems like, I mean, I jumped around the last couple of years hunting some different states, Missouri, Ohio, Michigan, some other states like that, and it's hard to kind of keep up with all the different states, but it's even harder when your own state kind of throw curveball at you. Like you used to be able to use a crossbow during archery with just an archery tag. Now you have to have an actual crossbow license. So if anybody's coming in to use crossbows, that's something that you need to pay attention to. Like, it's just, I don't know, they seem to be switching a lot of stuff up, which hopefully it pays off. I would like for Indiana to be a big bow hunting state. I understand people like the traditions and the fun of gun season, but I would like to be like in Illinois and just have a couple days here and there, or maybe like in Ohio where it kicks off on a Monday, like you said, Michigan kicks off
Yep.
on a Monday. I think that would be cool. It would probably screw a lot of people that can maybe just hunt weekends, but I think it would help our our deer numbers come up a little bit. I don't know how it is up there in Fort Wayne where you're at, but from here where I'm at, our population's been hurting a little bit.
Yeah, the Orange Army.
Yeah,
The
they
Orange
get it
Army.
done, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like you said, it'd probably give that buck another year to grow and possibly make some young kid happy out there in youth, or maybe some old timer. It's his last season and able to drop the buck of a lifetime.
Yeah,
So
absolutely,
that's one way to look at it.
definitely. So you and your buddies start up Blue Collar Whitetails. Tell us how all that came to be, and how you came up with the name and all that kind of stuff.
So it's kind of funny. What was that? Because we're just at a year doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
So the season prior, we were kind of making some funny jokes about some certain people, just like what you see on TV.
Right.
Like the high fence and whatever. You only get 30-minute clips of a 7-day hunt, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's that easy," and all this stuff. And
Right.
so we always make fun of that, and we wanted to shine light on the everyday blue collar guy that only has a couple hours to hunt after work, or maybe he's only got a week to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just all the buddies I look at that hunt and consistently kill decent deer, and some of them ain't even out there in camo; they're wearing Carhartts getting it done. Uh, one year I was out there in some Jordans that I forgot my boots, and I shot one. It started snowing, and just like some crazy off the wall stuff that happens. That's usually when I kill, when I forget something. But
Right.
but no, those funny conversations just started clicking in my head. Like at the end of hunts, we would spend like an hour or two at our tailgate and just talk about the past hunt. What we think maybe we could have done better, or how we thought the deer were moving in, and maybe how we'll set up tomorrow morning based off of what we saw, and go back and forth about, well, you think that rut's hitting, or pre-rut activity, whatever. So just I was like, man, if we could record these thoughts and like our tailgate talk, and put it into like a platform, maybe people would want to listen to it. And so yeah, we started that out a year ago, and then got a hold of a buddy that was connected through Bucks of Indiana and Rackaholic, which is their scent line, and
Mm-hmm.
we partnered up with them. They're like, "You guys want to try this year?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Every year, you're gonna buy that certain cover scent, or that dripper, or whatever.
Right.
But it really opened my eyes to, one, it's a local, like, it comes from an Indiana deer farm, like or not 5 counties, but like a couple counties away from me, uh, where they actually take. I'm not gonna get into too crazy of details, but like they use the deer scents, and then they put them in a bottle, and you got fresh deer urine, or a cover scent, and and I was like, I'm gonna tell you guys if it's trash. Like,
Right.
I'm not gonna be lied about it, because that I like to be transparent. I've told people about my misses and how I've killed them, luckily killed them. So I was like, I'm gonna tell you guys. So tried the stuff out, sat intentionally wrong winds with the Rackaholic whitetail bedding scent. Just absolutely loved the stuff, and having those guys backing helped both of us out. So just to like boost each other, because they're local and they're trying to grow. I'm local. I'm trying to grow. So
Right.
it was just kind of cool to have people from the same general to get some, I don't know, some word out that these guys from Indiana are doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool that you got to kind of partner it up with them. I know that Bucks of Indiana can be a big thing. I've seen it on. I don't personally have a Facebook page, but Blue River Bow Hunting has a Facebook page. But back when I had Facebook, that was the thing. Cruise through Bucks of Indiana after a good weekend. You seen some bucks cruising or something, so you go on there and look, and
Oh,
you
dude.
seen 4 or 5 guys on there strike it big one
Yeah.
weekend or whatever, and it's always something to look at too.
Yeah, Kyle Miller, he's a good buddy of mine now, and he runs that page. And he's like, "This is the worst job ever because I have to post this. Like everybody's killing, and I'm out here and I ain't got nothing, you know." So every day he's dropping like 5 to 10 pictures of just people smoking giants, and he's like, "It's awful," but he loves it. That's why he still does it. And same thing with him. You're gonna buy that Walmart scent that's synthetic that's been sitting on the shelf for however many years, and they just keep rotating it. Or you can buy this bottle and it's going to last you a season depending on how you use it. I'm a little more liberal with my cover scent, but so it's just something he wanted to try something different, and it worked out. And I'm really trying to get people to try because it changes the way you hunt. Smelling like a deer
Yeah.
when you're walking in the woods, like, dude, the dumbest stuff I was watching happen last season. And yeah, it took me till gun season to shoot one I wanted. I was being picky, like I said, it was opening day, but yeah, love those guys, and they've helped us out a lot.
It's kind of cool how you can run into a product like that and fall in love with it. I worked with a guy. I still work with him on and off, but this guy is a huge deer nut. Like he was the guy that I went to for information back prior to me knowing some of this stuff now. But
Yes.
he kept telling me about this scent company called James Valley Scent. They're from, I believe they're from North Dakota or South Dakota, one of the Dakotas. And he keeps telling me about all the scents they got and all kinds of different stuff. So one year I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna mess with this one time. I'm gonna order some stuff, check it out, and they have either a spray or you can get it in a gel. And I bought this stuff called a wall hanger, and I got it in the gel. And I went out. I had a community scrape 60 yards from my stand. It's there every year. I know it's going to be there. I
Yep.
don't like to sit on top of it. I like to sit off of it.
Yes, sir.
And I just went up there and I just dipped the licking branch in that little gel. Took a stick, kind of dipped it. A little bit goes a long way with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I got the rubber gloves on and everything. Dipped it in a little bit. It kind of rubbed it down in the scrape. Tossed the stick in the woods. Went and got my stand. 45 minutes later, I got a basket rack in there trying to destroy this tree. And
yes,
I'm like,
sir.
look at this, man. This shit's actually working. He walks off, does the thing. 3 more bucks hit it before I get out of the stand. I'm like, holy shit, this stuff works, man. Like I really like what, but with not necessarily with cover scents, but with some of that estrus stuff and all buck lure and all that kind of stuff. I think there's a window on some of that stuff. You don't want to use it in certain time periods. But I was just kind of testing the waters. It was
Right.
like a pre-rut action, late October, and boy, they loved it. But it's just kind of cool how you can fall into something like that, and then, like you said, you're going to be using it now. You like it. You've seen what it can do, and that's just cool stories to run into products like that, I think.
Yeah, me and my buddy Colton, call him C Train. We always look at the weather app, the night before, and I like to watch the pressures like everybody, and I like to see the wind direction
Absolutely.
and how it's going to change or whatever. And we it got to a point last year where, well, it's an east wind, and then Colton be like, yeah, we got that rackaholic though. so
Uh,
yeah, dude, we were aggressive as hell, and it paid off for us both. So
That's awesome. I heard a lot of I've heard a lot of talk the last I don't know year on a lot of I've heard a lot of stories on east wind, and I never really paid attention to it. I hardly ever get a east wind here,
really,
but just so happened last year when I killed on an east wind, and my scent was blowing down into the bottom of this thicket, and I thought, man, I ain't gonna see shit tonight. My wind's blowing right down into where I don't want it to blow. And next thing I know, I saw probably 6 or 7 deer that night. But that's when I shot my buck. It was October 27th, and
Oh yeah.
I just got lucky. I don't know what the story is on east wind. I know I can't remember what show I was listening to. An old man said if he ever has the east wind, he'll take the day off work and go hit it. And he's just been lucky enough to kill that many times on an east wind.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, when I first started hunting, uh, it like at first kind of made me mad, but towards the end, like I'm glad I kind of got this. My dad was like, "You're just gonna have to figure it out on your own," and he always goes back to the same old story. He's like, "Oh, I climbed up in the stand, 15 minutes, shot this buck, came by," and he hunted the same woods that I hunt now, but he doesn't deer hunt anymore. He just can't. Um, so I really had to take 3 years to figure out this main property that we're on, and I don't have it like figured out because it's always changing, but like I have a general idea, and that's when I started killing deer. Well, my uncle, which is actually my aunt's fiance, I guess you could say, but I always call him my uncle. He's taught me everything I know, killing deer wise, and he's always big on like the winds. You know, he's like, well, it's west wind, we got to sit up close to the highway, so nothing comes behind us, or it's east wind, we got to sit out by these fields, let it blow out in the field. And yeah, I get that, and I love him to death. I love him to death. But you know how you pick up things from certain people, and then you twist it and make it your own, right?
Right.
And I forget where I heard it a long time ago, but they were like, sometimes you got to hunt the wind that's right for him. And to this day, my uncle's like, I don't know how you keep killing them out of that same tree up there in the urban. And I'm like, dude, I'm giving them like I'm playing that east wind, like you were saying. It's different, and I'm sitting right in between where pines go to hardwoods, and it's like a little pinch point. We call it the pinch tree, and there's a 4-wheeler path. They got to walk in between from the pines to the hardwoods, and the stand's only like maybe 10 feet off the ground. We got a double set in there, so your head's got to be on a swivel. But that east wind, I'm not really scared of it. I kind of I'm going more aggressive on that, and you're giving him the favor because he likes that off. Oh, he's got to adjust that off wind. He's so used to west, 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 west. Oh, now it's east. I got to move. Well, you might want to sit that spot because you might get an opportunity. That's just one way I look at it. So whether that's wrong or indifferent, I don't know.
Hey, that's your way of doing it, and it looks like it's paying off for you. So everybody's got their own way
sometimes.
Right? Everybody's got their way of doing things, especially when it's a property that you've hunted for a while or continually to hunt. You've always got your own spin. Crazy thing is with stuff like that, I've hunted this one place like 17 or 18 years now. I can't even remember how long. Back when I was 14 is when I started hunting.
Okay.
And the guy that I'm hunting with a lot now, he's only been in there a few times now, but it's like, hey man, why aren't you hunting here? Or why aren't you hunting here? Or why aren't you hunting here? He's got a different view of things, and it's like, I try to explain it. Well, I don't hunt here because I don't want to push him out. I don't want to hunt him here because I'm going to push him out. I can't hunt here unless I have a certain wind, or it's not even worth going in there type of situation. But taking somebody into a property that they've never hunted before and hearing what they would do on things is pretty cool, because I may take some of that into consideration this year. Like, man, I don't know, maybe he said I should hunt over here. I've never hunted over here. Let's try it one evening. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna hurt nothing. You know what I mean?
Dude, your entire like story right there just remind me of Colton, my buddy. He's only been hunting 4 years. When I shot my biggest one, he's like, "You think I can come out there and shoot one?" And I'm like, "Go for it." So we got them all dialed in, ready to go. And like you were saying, you're looking at these properties and you're like, well, I've never had good luck back there. Seems like I always got blown out, or I'd never seen deer. And the only reason why I killed my buck last year is because I listened to him. And like I said, he's still fresh,
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, Jake, what you got to lose? He's like, set the stand back up in there in the swamp, and when it's right, just go. So went back there a couple times, and I was seeing what's going on. Well, we can get into that story later.
Yeah, I got that lined up here in a little bit.
But yeah, just getting a fresh set of eyes on things, and just being okay with saying, yeah, let's do it, let's try it, because
Yeah.
end of the day, it's just a deer. And like we just hung a new set this year that I'm going off of intel off of turkey season, which might be premature, but like I know earlier last year we had the biggest 6 pointer I ever seen in my life, and we couldn't do nothing about it. And he was just back there eating acorns, and I'm like, man, we got to set up something back there. And he finally was like, let's go do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm listening again. Here we go. So,
So, hunting Indiana, I've talked on here a couple times with some Indiana folk, not too many times, but talk about what hunting Indiana means to you and the terrain, because I know it could be different from where I'm at, 2.5, 3 hours south of you, the terrain, but talk about what it means to you and the type of terrain that you're hunting.
uh, well, when I started the journey, like I said, I'm still somewhat fresh. I didn't start hunting until about 2012, 2013. Like I said, fresh out of high school, and had to learn my way. And your goal then was different than it is now, where I use it as a tool to provide for my family during the year. So when I'm out there in the woods now, uh, to me it means a lot more because I'm supporting 3 more mouths to feed. Um, it just I don't really know how else to explain that feeling. I'm sure you know what that's like.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
it kind of hits deeper, and then you get other people in your family and friends that don't see that side of it. And uh, you know, like she's mentioned before, every time they go to a family get together or something, and I'm not there because I'm in the tree, they're like, "Oh, Jake's taking that too serious," or why ain't he here and all this stuff. And it's like, well, one, she understands it's a passion, and two, like she's a unicorn. She understands the meat value of it, and
For
she
sure.
understands that it doesn't happen every time you go out. Whereas like someone else, they're like, oh, you can skip. When I'm out there and Colton and I, we always talking back and forth. It's a numbers game, and which you hear some people about. Well, you're gonna burn out a spot, if you hunt it too hard. And with how the main property sets up here, we have we call it the main stand, and it's set up so perfect that I mean you could really hunt that thing any wind, and you're just in a great spot to at least see something, or maybe get with gun season. You're in the chips, but like with a bow, obviously it's a little bit harder. But I can't tell you how many times my I can look back at my grandpa's house and I can see him out there grilling, or he'll be out there mowing the lawn, and then 20 minutes later here comes a deer. Like it's crazy. It sits off an inside L. We're about 80 yards off the field edge, and which is kind of nice about my grandpa's house is we skirt his house to get to the main stand. So it's like you're not. They're used to all that scent right there. They walk in his backyard sometimes. Uh, so we have I guess, which is different than some people might not have this, but like we have a stand that like we could hunt every weekend no matter what.
Right.
But like if we want to be aggressive, then we start looking at is it really the right move? So
Definitely. Talk about maybe some of the traditions you and your buddies got, or
oh
maybe
yeah,
you and your family got. It's
oh
kind of
yeah.
cool to hear all the different traditions that people do during deer season. What do you guys got lined up?
So like I said, the family, the on our side of the family that hunts now is my one uncle I talked about prior. But my uncle that literally lives across the gravel driveway from me. There's 3 houses out here on the property. He used to hunt out here a long time ago. Like when it was just basket racks and like
Yeah,
nothing
right.
crazy. Uh, but every opening day, he has some. He has a big bachelor party out here of opening day of rifle. That's called the Deer Widows Party, and we so yeah, last year. Well, what I'm not going to talk about it, but uh, no, we hunt that morning, and then everybody's smoking meats and stuff out there, and there's a keg and all this stuff, and we shoot guns, around lunchtime. And so in the evening, I don't hunt out here because it's 100 off. So we'll go up north to my father-in-law's, but that's kind of a fun tradition. Everybody
Yeah,
just
that sounds awesome. I don't
yeah,
know
and
how
then
much hunting I would get done though with all that going on.
yeah, well, yeah. So that's the hard part because you can smell the smoker and all that stuff drift through the woods sometimes. But anyway, so no, we'll come back from that property up north, and he's always like, make sure you come back after the hunt. We want to hear about it. And I'll come back there, and they got a whole box of cigars, and they got the keg out there, and like I said, I killed last year that day, so it was like that. What's that Project X movie? Like it
Yeah.
was just like the ultimate. But no, so
That
we do that.
that may be one of the best answers I think I've heard on asking people's traditions. Like everybody's obviously got their own spin on everything. That may be the best answer I've had yet. It sounds like a
Hey,
hell of a party.
dude, I'm telling you, if you want to come up here, the beer's flowing. I'm telling you,
Oh,
it's a great time.
oh, sounds awesome.
Yeah, and usually on that evening hunt, I'm able to get my wife out, so we'll take her up there and she spectates. Um, and then, like I said, last year was my first year hunting Michigan. There's just a little cabin in the woods. It's like 80 acres, just thicker and thick, and that was the hardest I ever hunted. But like so, we'd hunt, come in for lunch real quick, go back out, then we'd come back in, and once we come back in, we would just start drinking, playing music, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a good time. I get on the six string when I start getting a little loose, so
Oh
that's
man.
that's what we do.
We need to get you down there for that public land hunt down there down south and get the beers flowing and the guitars out, man.
Dude, I just listened to that podcast today. I was going through your guys' stuff and I was listening to that one, and man, that sounds like a ball. Like I want to go so bad. If I didn't use my rutcation,
Right.
I could definitely do that Friday. But yeah, it'd be one of those deals where I have to come down like Friday night, and then my climbers destroyed. I accidentally left it in the woods like 2 years ago over
Hmm.
the season, and and at the time I was working the state highway, I plowing snow, so I had no time to get it, and it just got destroyed. But yeah, I'm debating doing some ground and pound with the bow. I don't know. That
You
sounds
know,
like a fun time.
yeah, I've heard a lot of people kind of going to the ground and pound thing. It's never been my style. But when I went to Ohio last year, I had to make it my style. I broke my climber, and I'm not going back ever to a climber again after I had that happen to me. But I killed a buck in Ohio last year from the ground at 40 yards
Damn.
through some thick stuff, and it was fun. It was fun to kind of do that and be, kind of have them in your face type of thing. You
Oh
really got to
yeah.
watch your movement and stuff, and it was kind of cool. But I've heard a lot of people kind of going to the ground and pound. You see the hunting public guys as popular as they are.
Yep.
Saddle hunting was the big thing there with them for a while. And it seems like anymore they just hunt mostly from the ground, and you see what they can do.
I tell you what, I think there's definitely a time and place for it. I don't know if I'd be as proficient as those guys on the hunting public, but man, there's a lot of times during the season, I'll get this hunch, whether I'm hunting by myself or with him, and I'm like, dude, we need to go check back there. I just got a feeling, especially during like gun season where you actually got like a real chance. I can't tell you how many deer, if we were just set up back a little bit deeper, we almost killed one the one time. My buddy was trying to brace a 308 on a sapling to take a shot, and he couldn't brace it, so didn't
That's
take the
awesome.
shot. But seen a lot of stuff you know, moving that 10 o'clock and go sit in another stand just for a little bit, and here comes more deer. I don't know. Every time I get a hunch now, I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
That's how I killed my one deer on the ground. It was like a spot and stalk, but I had a rifle. Uh, like you said, east wind, bad times, but went on a hunch. So
Yeah. I heard you mention it a minute ago when you were talking, but uh, not something that I get to do. I don't really have any place to do it, but talk about Urban Zone. I know
oh yeah.
that's coming up for Indiana. Kind of explain what Urban Zone is and how you approach it.
Okay, yeah. So for everybody that doesn't know, Indiana, they run they call it a deer reduction zone. Back in the day, it was called urban. Uh, Basically, some of these spots here in Indiana run along major highways, and they're trying to cut down on deer car collisions, or they're trying to thin out a herd. somewhere in the area. Like sometimes on golf courses, you can get permission. Back in the day, my uncle that I hunt with now, he's got to hunt some pretty stellar spots. Can't do it now, but um, yeah, basically, uh, without getting into too much detail. Well, it doesn't really. Uh, right along Highway 69, going north, clear up to Michigan, you can basically hunt either side of the road from the highway to the next county line road over. I hunt up in DeKalb County. Uh, it is different. What's nice about it is the season starts on September 15th. Um, there is some downsides to it. You know, they call it a deer reduction zone. They're trying to get rid of these deer, but you have to now pay. Well, the tag went up to like $40, so you have to pay $40 per deer. You can take up 10 deer, so that's $400. But what's cool
Right.
about the program is you have to shoot a doe first. Once you shoot that doe, harvest it, tag it in, all this stuff, it unlocks a buck tag. So now you have the potential in Indiana to take two bucks. So that's cool. Uh,
Absolutely.
so that's when I first got into it, I was like, oh yeah, now we can get after $2. This will be great. And yeah, last year I swung and missed on one, which was great. But anyway, so yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool season. You know, you get in there September 15th, they're kind of still on their summer patterns, I feel like,
No,
at least what I've
absolutely.
witnessed. I'm still waiting to one of these times maybe someone didn't shed velvet. That would be really cool,
Right.
but I doubt it. Yeah, it's a pretty neat program. Get out there before everyone else. And then what's cool is once rifle season comes in for Indiana in November, if your county allows rifle hunting or whatever, you can hunt with a rifle from opening day of the rifle season until January 31st to fill that tag. So
That's
you
wild.
get all the way to the end to fill, your tag with a rifle, which is sometimes needed depending on pressure around here. Seems like when gun comes in, those deer come out a little bit farther, just out of bow range.
Right.
So that's what I really like about it as well. Um, it is hard hunting later in the year, but I think I'm picking up more and more on how those deer actually move later in the year, towards, start of January or yeah, like last little bit of December through January 31st. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. And it's more so I stopped going in the morning before the sun comes up because you got to think too. You'll have snow and ice on the ground. You're making all kinds of noise coming in, and
Right.
your stands are never close. So I wait till like 9, 10 o'clock where the sun's kind of beat it, and I can't tell you how much movement I've seen from that 11 to 2 that late in the season. I know people don't get to hunt that much, but they definitely change. At least what I've seen.
Yeah, and up there in Fort Wayne, you get something that I don't necessarily get down here, and that's kind of like the lake effect snow. So you're probably getting way more snow than I am. I really don't do a whole lot of deer hunting in snow, mostly because when muzzleloader season hits or around the end of gun season, the beginning of muzzleloader, I kind of switch gears a little bit.
Okay,
I go from deer to ducks. I know you
nice.
can. I've seen some of your stuff that you kind of get on some birds too, and that can be a whole fun game in itself.
Yeah,
But hunting those easements off the highways, man, I got to find me a spot to go. I would love to do it. I know some of those, I said urban or whatever, but it, like you said, is the deer reduction zones. Man, some of them urban spots, man, they got some absolute giants running
dude,
around.
they're it's sickening. My same buddy Colton, he's a manager of the greatest paint store in the nation, Sherwin-Williams, and
There you go.
he's got a store in downtown Fort Wayne, and he sent me a video, just this absolute slob walking in the back of his parking lot, like just they're there. I mean,
Oh
they're
yeah.
all there, but yeah, finding there's an interactive map on the DNR website that you can look at and actually like zoom in on a place. What sucks is my house is actually 1 mile outside the reduction
Oh,
zone, so I get screwed there. But it's all good. It is what it is. Yeah, just another opportunity to go hunt something, and another deer that you can put in the freezer.
Absolutely. I heard you say that your spot there was by a highway, or one of your spots was by a highway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man, hunting near major highways like that, it's such different, because my neighbor that I filmed quite a bit throughout the season, he has 90 acres that butts up to I-70,
Okay.
and the smells, the sounds, it's
Yep.
just so much different. I mean, we could literally be sitting in the same tree, and I can't even hear what he's saying because all
Yeah.
you're hearing is semis. And they had a huge construction project the last couple of years right here through this stretch of I-70, and they would be halted basically on the highway, and it was like you could hear a pin drop in there. And he goes, "Dude, this is like the eeriest feeling ever being in here and being able to hear, because it's just like."
Wow.
And then I kind of saw after the construction cleaned up, and when we went in there, even taking a couple does in there during youth season, me with the camera trying to film, all you can hear is the highway in the background.
Yes.
But with that kind of stuff, it can help you too. Like you said, at a certain wind or something, hunting with your back to the highway, almost right up against the highway, them deer are using that like some of it has fencing even.
Oh
They're
yes.
using that fence as a
Yeah.
major highway, a deer highway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we love it. Like I said, for those west winds, we sit right up against that highway. And what's cool, like you were mentioning, they're used to all that movement, So
Yeah.
you can get away with a lot. What I'm still trying to process is how none of that bothers them. But you break a branch, or you pop a
Right.
stand, it's game over. But uh, yeah, I love hunting back there towards the highway. And like you said, I mean, it's like bare dirt on this one trail that we have up there in reduction zone, where they're just walking right up. I mean, we're right up against the fence. Like, the only thing that sucks is like wintertime, when all that foliage is off and stuff, and you got that cold wind, and then you got the cars shoving the cold wind. But yeah, you definitely can't hear the deer coming, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, but then it's really weird when they come in. It's like all that noise is just gone, and you're just like
So
zeroed in.
focused on
It's
it.
crazy. Like I don't understand it, but I love it.
Absolutely. Talk about some scouting. How do you approach scouting? Let's go example on this one. Let's go summer scouting. We're leading up into the season now. How do you scout your deer throughout the summer, leading into early bow season?
Uh, do you want me to touch on the cams in
Yeah, go
here?
ahead, man. We can go
Okay,
cams on the same thing.
so which this might be kind of crazy. I don't know how everybody feels about this, but uh, I I think less is more in the summer. We go out there and we make micro food plots.
Hmm.
Um, and when I mean micro, it might be like 30 yards long
Yeah,
by.
little kill spot.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
we got a couple of those out this year. Um, like I said, which is pretty funny this year. I'm only running one camera on our main property, and I put it in one spot where I do mineral, and then we switch it to over by one of the stands that we hunt. So basically, from June to middle of August, we kind of get our intel on the bucks, and so we get a pretty good idea. And then we move our stand to where, or not our stand, our camera to where we think they should be coming from, just to kind of get more intel. Um, and last time I checked it, because I let them sit for like a month and a half at a time. Where like some guys, they check it every week, or they run cell cams. I don't have cell cams.
Hmm.
Like I said, I might be a little controversial on cameras, but you also, with the cameras, I feel like you can get a false sense of hope,
Yeah,
um,
especially in the summer.
especially in the summertime. But what seems to be happening is your frequent offenders that come in, stealing all your mineral and stuff. I at least in my woods, what I've noticed is sometime during the season you're gonna see those guys, or you should, unless they die or they run off. But just with how the property works out here, I know we have the good genetics. It's just a matter of when. So I don't get too heartbroken when I made my last card pull and I'm seeing does, because we're in that transition period. I feel like they're kind of sacking up, getting the testosterone, breaking from the groups. Velvet, is probably coming off. If it ain't all the way off already, I don't know how it varies from you to me, but I know when it's time to hunt them, we don't have a chance with Velvet. So
Yeah, not a chance.
But to be honest, my scouting is more done in the off season. When there's snow on the ground, I go into the thick of the thick, and I take my boys out there. They love seeing the trails and all that stuff because you get fresh footprints. I know it's at the end of the season. It doesn't. I mean, it can vary from what you're going to see in the fall. But again, I guess that pre knowledge of getting an idea of how your woods works, you kind of have a general idea how things are going. What's crazy about this season, we do have a big major change that has happened to our area. The woods west of me was actually logged out, I almost cried when I seen them doing it. I was like heartbroken, and because at the time nobody hunted it, and my buddy's like, dude, it's gonna be fine. Look at all the stuff that's still knocked down and all this stuff. It's created so much more bedding. Like usually when I put mineral out in the summer, it lasts me like a month. We had so many deer on camera, dude, that it was barely lasting a week and a half. Like it just. So I think it probably happened for the better. When we look at it now, there's just so much more foliage, and then so you have that whole open area that's sunlight beaming through, and then they walk to our area where it's dark, thick. Like it's thick over there, but like I feel like it's dark. Like they have like another spot that they can come to and hide, and it's kind of like a transition point. I'm not hunting that big of acreage out here. It used to be an old Christmas tree farm out front, which we don't hunt. We leave it as bedding. Okay, so
That's
it's
awesome.
like it's thick as thick. You used to be able to walk down every aisle, and now there's only 2 rows that I mow that you can walk down, and then my uncle mows the backside where they filter through to the corner of the field. So we just hunt the hardwoods and swamp. We just leave up here alone, which is crazy. Sometimes you see deer up here. It's wild, but yeah. So I don't really do too much summer scouting because I just want to leave. Like we do all of our stand movement, prep, and everything out there in the off season, like March. So we leave it alone. We'll come back in the summer, check up on it, or if like a major storm comes through, we'll go out there, make sure the straps are good. Like everything's set up right now to where all we have to do is go up and clip in. That's it. So that's nice. This is the most prepared we've ever been all season, and I feel amazing about that. Just everything's done, and we only go out there if we're checking after storms. Like I said, I haven't been out there since the beginning of August, and I'm not pulling that trail cam until we go out there October 1st.
That's awesome. It's crazy how that what you said, the most prepared you've ever been going into a season. That can give you some confidence. That can give you a little bit of swagger going into the season and give you a little bit of, something to feel good about. In the last, I'd say 3 or 4 or 5 years, I ran a lot of cameras in the summertime, and like you said, it gave me false hope. I was chasing ghosts when it came to the fall. I've kind of learned my lesson a little bit. I have 1 camera out right now, and it's just a regular SD card camera. Once season hits and I see what's going on, I'm probably going to put a couple of my cell cams out. I do have a couple of those to work with, and that's basically just to help me throughout the pre-rut and the rut, figuring out where everybody's moving and what exactly is moving through there. But I think with me not running as many cameras in the summer, I think it's going to make it a little more exciting when it comes to in the season. But, I made the mistake last year. I honestly did. I shot my deer October 27th. I had a SD card cam down in this bottom where the deer went after I shot him. Pulled the camera, 3 or 4 different deer on there that were bigger than the one I shot.
Damn.
that hurts a little bit.
Yeah,
But
that's got you on the back end.
but then again, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was an incredible experience on my own. I know, like you mentioned, and when we messaging back and forth, you said that about 90% of the time that you hunt, you're hunting with your buddy.
Yep.
Which, dude, how incredible is that? I feel like
My
people,
best friend.
take that, I'm hunting by myself. I don't need nobody with me type of thing. But hunting with somebody, I used to be that way. I never hunted with anybody. It was mostly like, hey, I'm going this way, you go that way.
Yep.
We'll meet at the truck at dark. When I got the camera involved in filming, and I get to go with other people and experience all this stuff with a person and video it at the same time, dude, it's incredible, really.
Yeah, when I first brought him along, you get these thoughts in your head where you're like, that's double the scent. That's double, I got to make sure he's walking slow. I got to make sure, everything's good on his end and mine. And then you just get to a point where I know he's thinking the same thing I am, to where, some of these stands that we have set up, how we have them now, like most people run like 2 hang-ons or whatever.
Right.
We run a ladder stand out front, and then mine's canted behind him, a hang-on. So
Gotcha.
We have 360 view. So, and now we're not like, hey, look, there's a deer or anything like that. Like,
Just do a little tap.
yeah, a little tap. And sometimes, like, if I hear him walking, he knows. Like, we're on the same wavelength. Like, it's crazy. I couldn't ask for a better friend. So, don't be afraid to take your buddy out there and sit with you. And when he kills, I feel like maybe I even get more excited than I do when I kill. It feels like we get it done. We put in the work. We got up early. We got out there, and we got him killed. So that's how I feel.
Absolutely. The last couple of years when it came to the whole filming thing, getting into that, we did the double lock-ons. They work for us. I mean, I've never had any complaint when it came to that. We try to use cover the best we can with what's around us when we are setting up. That does go through our mind when we're setting up or picking a spot. But this year's going to be a little different. We can take those double sets and split them up, because I got the saddle set up now. So if I'm filming you and you have a lock on, I can go up, stand on your lock on, put my platform on the tree. Boom, I'm in the tree.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, when I'm coming down, I take it all with me. But we don't have to have those double sets. So it's going to give us more opportunities throughout the season to, hey, dude, we've been seeing that buck in that middle of that pasture for 4 hunts in a row. Let's go down there. Let's hang and hunt tonight. We'll bring the sticks. You bring one of these lock-ons. I'll hunt with the saddle. Let's get it done tonight. I feel like when you're rolling with the punches like that, even with your equipment, you can get a lot of shit done that way. You know what I mean?
It's the best. Like I said, at first we were unsure about it, but now it's just like second nature. I'll come home from work on Friday. He's already here gearing up. It's like, all right, we're going.
Yeah.
The only and that's what's crazy. The only time we split up is that opening weekend of gun. He'll sit 100 yards away from me, and I'm like, let's divide and conquer. It's pretty crazy. Like I said, he's a great friend. With this being my property, he gives me first dibs, and like if we're sitting together. And that's what's crazy. He shoots a crossbow. I shoot a compound.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so he gives me first dibs. And I'm like, dude, if we ever break in cover, I'm like, I don't care what it is. Put it down. I'm completely okay with all that. And, he, I guess, respects me enough to give me first dibs on what comes through. So, there's a lot of times we're like, you want to shoot that or you want me to, there's that doe right there. Who you want it? And, yeah,
Right.
It's a fun time, but it's not strange now that we hunt together. So
yeah, it's definitely.
I feel more
cool.
Crazy hunting alone now. That's
all right.
Yeah,
me too. And that's when I killed last year. Nobody could go.
Oh, really?
It was like a Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday last year, middle of the week. Nobody could go. Everybody was tied up for the evening. I was just like, I'm fucking going, Went
Yep.
out there and got it done by myself. Obviously, they helped me drag it out and all that kind of stuff, but it's always fun to go back to your roots, when
Uh-huh.
you're out there by yourself, when your dad dropped you off at the bottom of the stand or whatever your story might be. But it's always fun to go back to just regular old school deer hunting, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, that even touched on like what you said about the cameras earlier. There's something about like on our reduction zone, we never ran cameras up there. It was just like if that's the one, that's the one. So I completely get where you're coming from.
Definitely. So I want to hear about you. You talked about hunting some swamp bucks
Yes.
in the last couple of years. Talk about hunting these swamps.
Well, that's what's crazy. So like this swamp bottom, uh, back in like 2014, 2015, when I was pushing back there, you used to be able to walk around like crazy. The farmer redid the field tiles and flooded it. Now it's like waist deep, okay? And we'll late season goose hunt back there.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, so like I said, last year's kill wouldn't have happened if Colton didn't push me to go back there. Um, I waited until mid. Okay, I hung the stand back there in July of last year, and there's a beat down trail, and I'm like, dude, they're gonna walk right in front of me, right in front of me, which I'm facing uphill now. So like I'm at the bottom with the water right behind my tree, and I'm looking up on this bank, and there's a trail 5 yards in front of me. I'm kind of exposed, but like I said, I like to kind of play dangerous a little bit, just because they're not expecting it. And I'm like, plus that stand's been sitting back there for months.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go back there until mid October, and we had a lot of hitless bucks. And I'm like, dude, I know they're skirting us. So I waited for the right morning, went back there and early as hell, and I could start hearing things walking through the water, and that was just eerie. But it was those deer. Oh yeah. And, I sound like mac and cheese when you stir it, walking through that muck.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to walk up on the side of the bank, get up there, and I'm sure I wasn't that stealthy. But anyway, get in the stand. I'm looking back up towards the hardwoods, and I have my bow in hand ready, just waiting on first light, because I'm like, dude, they gotta come, and all of a sudden I hear something behind me at shooting light, turn around, and it's my number one buck,
Oh man.
and he's at 25 yards, and I'm trying to turn around. He's out there in the water, like he's walking in the swamp water, which is waist deep, but it's only going up like half of his legs, so it must be those pole legs they got. And he's walking back there. I could never get a shot, and then right before Halloween, the neighbor shot him, and I couldn't be more
Oh,
jacked for him. But man, I was sick to my stomach, dude.
I bet. Can you imagine actually getting the shot off and trying
Uh,
to blood trail it through the swamp?
Dude, it would have been nuts. But that's what's crazy. That's those swamps. At least the swamp that I'm hunting heavily, it's all turned to like switchgrass kind of. It's like a real reedy, and they love it. And that's what's crazy. What I've learned about, especially going off of last season, with like I said, the field tiles changed that whole swamp on how I approached it, and they're using that swamp as a sanctuary because one, if a predator goes through there, they're going to hear all that splashing, and I don't see physically how a coyote is going to make it through that, but I guess it's possible. Anything's possible. Uh, every buck I encountered back there walking through the water, the wind was at its back. Crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
So I
wild.
don't know if they were going more visual and off of their ears as well.
Probably.
Uh, but man, every time I sat back there, saw an absolute slammer. Saw the buck that I shot opening day back there during bow season. And like I said, all these bucks we had on trail cam data, they were just playing the swamp and skirting us most of the season. And
That's awesome.
yeah, like I said, I can segue from there. But yeah, just swamps are real different to hunt. You got to be a lot more stealthy going in. Definitely helps with like a real heavy wind to cover up a lot of the noise you make, because those muck boots walking through some of that marshy stuff, dude, it's just like,
Probably damn near need some waders to go through.
oh yeah, dude. If I had a nice set of hip waders, I could, or even a rowboat, get out there halfway. Man, I know I'd get something.
That's awesome. So last year you were fortunate enough to take the buck that's going to be in the thumbnail for this episode, but you
That's
called him the Clean Eight.
no, that is my 2019.
Oh, 2019. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're good. No, that's my 2019 archery buck. That was
That's a slammer, but
that's a crazy story.
let's hear it.
I can rip through that real quick for you. I
Yeah.
don't want to waste all your time.
Nah, you're
Uh,
fine. You ain't wasting my time.
okay, back up a few years. That morning, well, okay, so that I plowed snow for the state of Indiana at the time, and that night we got called into work because there was ice, and so we were plowing all night. But they're like, "Hey boys, I think it'll be early. We'll get you guys out of here at 7 o'clock or sooner." So I was texting my foreman. I was like, "Dude, it's the first frost. It's the first like November 1st. It's the first hard frost. Like I gotta go." He's like, "Yeah, no problem. I understand." So I'm literally racing sunrise to get out to my stand. And so I parked the truck at home real quick, grab the clothes out of my truck, and I get dressed and I go back there, and it's like shooting light at least. Get up in my stand, I start rattling, and all of a sudden I see this buck come from the cornfield. He's walking straight to me, ears pinned back. He's all bristled up. He's a 9-pointer, and he comes within 10 yards of me. Every time I go to pull back, my tree stand pops. And, couldn't get a shot on him real close. He goes out there to 40 yards. I stop him, and I was like, dude, I'm taking the shot. I take the shot, shoot right over his back. He ducked it, and I was so pissed. I was like, dude, I just blew out this spot, because he's blowing up a storm. Like, he's just blowing.
Stomping.
And so that night I had plans to go hunt with a buddy. I was like, I can't hunt my spot. Is there any way I can come? He's like, yeah, no problem. I'm driving to this stand in the evening, and he shoots me a text. He's like, hey, I totally forgot. It's my niece's birthday. We can't hunt it. And the way that property worked is he had to be there with me to hunt it. It was farmer permission. So I was like, shit. I was like, well, I don't know if anything's going to happen. I'm just going to whip it and go back. So I go back to the property it was that morning where I missed that 9-pointer. And I get in the stand, I'm like, there ain't no way this is going to happen, So I was like, whatever, I'm going to aggressively call. So, that evening, it gets down to the last hour maybe, and I just start going at it with the horns, bashing them together. I got the grunt tube. I'm putting everything I got. I'm throwing a kitchen sink at this point. And I go to set my antlers down on the stand, and I look over to my left, and I just catch something out of the corner of my eye, and it was just like, it was like a cow with horns, dude. Like just, 35 yards, he's angling in towards me, and this is where it screwed me up. And like I said, I'm going to be transparent with you. So he's at 35 yards, cutting straight across. He's coming in front of my stand. Now I have the morning playing in my head. I'm like, well, I stopped the last one. I was like, man, I can't miss this one. This one's like twice as big, And so I come at full draw. He don't see me pull back or nothing. And you know how it is. Like, I really didn't slow down the situation and think. I thought he was walking straight across. Well, he was angling in. So I pulled back on him. I got my 20-yard pin and or whatever it was, 20, 30-yard pin, and shoot an arrow, and it goes right over him.
Oh, man.
And he just kind of does like a hurry up, and then he just keeps trotting, ears pinned back, bristled up, just like the buck in the morning. And I'm like, Jake, you just messed this up twice in one day. I was like, how are you like, what are you going to do now? And he's walking out to the corner of the cornfield. And so I'm like, well, I got these antlers. Pick up my antlers. I start bashing them together again. He comes barreling through the edge of that tree line like a Mack truck, like just breaking things, just run straight through it. Now he's directly downwind of me. And he's on the trail about, I don't know, again, 20 to 30 yards, nose up in the air, licking his nose. And I'm like holding my breath now. Yeah. I'm like, I'm like, don't let anything out, dude. Don't let anything out. Sure enough, he comes walking down this trail. Thank you, Grandpa. He he comes walking down this trail, comes out to a bend at 25 yards. I'm on him, and I let the arrow fly. And to this day, I still don't know what happened. I'm assuming I hit a twig or something I did not see. The arrow just kicked down like this, went straight through the spine, and he just fucking bleeds out there on the trail.
Oh wow!
So I got super lucky with that deer. Like I said, I'm gonna be transparent with you. That's what happened. So yeah, maybe it was meant to be, because I tell everybody that story, and they're like, "There's no way you called him in twice. There's no," and I'm like, "It happened. I don't know. He's on my wall. I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah, no kidding. That's a wild story, especially for him to come back after you hit the horns again. I've never really had much luck when it comes to rattling or anything like that. I wish where I hunted was more like that, but it's the stuff that I'm hunting is more open ag with smaller sets of woods here and there. Just doesn't really pan out like that. I want to be in a situation where I could maybe throw the horns together once or twice and see something come barreling through the woods, but where I'm at, it doesn't really happen that way.
Well, it's crazy because it's kind of this woods has kind of transitioned since then. I haven't really had much luck lately out here calling them in, but my reduction zone, dude, it's you got a grunt tube and something that sounds like antlers, you're in the game. Like, they will come in. I can't tell you how many times last year I called bucks in.
That's awesome.
Nothing crazy. Like I said, I was holding out for that bonus tag. I was trying to shoot something decent. But I go at it. I start, mid-October, I start tickling them. And then as it goes on, I kind of get a little bit more aggressive. But that's how I rattle.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that do, and they have luck with it. That's not something I've never really had luck with it. I have rattled in some before, but it's kind of few and far between sort of thing. Like, there's I'd say from that Halloween weekend to right before our gun season, I'll mess with it like every other sit maybe, or maybe just an evening sit if I feel like something could be in the area and maybe get its attention sort of thing. But that is fun messing with it. Like, I grunted one in, one of the biggest deer I've ever seen while I've been hunting. Grunted him in, and my cousin shot him on camera, about 130-inch deer.
Damn.
We didn't end up finding it, but it was still cool. I still don't know how we didn't find that deer, how it didn't die. It's on video. He smokes this deer about 18 yards. It's wild because when we saw him go up this ridge, I grunted and he turned and he looked, and I'm like, oh, we got his attention.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he just disappeared. But what we didn't know is he went down and around.
Oh boy.
Right, and behind us, we didn't even hear him come in.
Yep.
And you can see it right on camera. Right before he shoots him, the buck turns, and every hair on the back of that buck's neck is standing up. He's on edge, ready to whoop somebody. But that's pretty cool. That's another fun thing when it comes to having a camera in your hands. You can tell somebody, you may go back to your buddies and be like, dude, I just seen the biggest 9-pointer I've ever seen in my life. He come through, ears pinned back, ready to whoop somebody. And they're like, yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, I bet you did.
And like, no, look.
Yeah. That's one thing I learned too about that rattling is as soon as I'm done with my sequence, I'm picking my bow up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Be ready for it for sure.
That and that doe in a can. My buddy has killed more deer off that Primo's doe in a can than I can count. I mean, dude, that thing, he's got the holy grail.
There's a guy on YouTube, Have Bow Will Travel, I believe is his YouTube name. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That dude uses that can more than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Don't knock it.
I'm not knocking it by any means.
You watch that? You ever watch that SpongeBob where they got the magic conch?
Yeah.
That's our magic conch, that little Primo's can.
That's awesome.
Just do what it says. But no, I'll get into that that buck from last year in the swamp if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I sent you the buck of 2019 because that was my biggest. So
that is a nice buck, man, for sure.
But no, so like I said, really early in the year in July, hung that stand, waited certain times to go in there. And what's crazy is the night before opening day, we kind of had like a little party out here with some buddies, and we did a podcast, and I told him, I was like, I just got that feeling I'm gonna lay one down in the morning.
That's awesome.
And I told my wife before bed, I was like, I'm gonna kill one tomorrow morning. I just know. So wake up that morning, my buddy, he drives over, and like I'm already geared up. I've had a coffee. I've had my Thrive energy pills. Like I'm ready to go. And he's getting dressed. I'm like, come on. Like I'm ready to go. And so I told him, I was like, hey, if we're gonna do this and you want me to sit back there, I gotta go early because it's gonna take a time. Well, like I said, that morning the good Lord must have blessed me because there was it was like sideways winds of like 20 plus miles an hour blowing away from the bedding. And I mean, I was completely silent going in, like at least I thought. um get up in the stand, it starts sleeting, and uh here's something walk right behind me to my ladder. Turn around real quick, it was a coyote. Not many guns were going off that morning. And then all of a sudden we started hearing gunshots, and it sounded like they were getting closer and closer and closer. I text my buddy, and I'm like, dude, I gotta go so bad. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, dude, I gotta drop one. He's like, no. And so I'm over here debating in my head. I was like, if I climb down out of this stand, I'm gonna get busted. I just feel it. I've been here all morning. It's like almost 9 o'clock. I'm like, I gotta figure out something else. So I don't want to get too graphic, but I fished my pants through my harness, okay? And I straight up Call of Duty airstrike in the swamp water, okay?
That's awesome.
I wish I had a GoPro, dude. And I literally take my foot out of my boot, take off my extra sock, do the business, throw the sock out there in the swamp water. I don't want that again.
No.
And no, I'm dead, a dead ass. And so and so I'm up. I got my jacket off. I got my rifle laden in front of me. I had my deer legal Glock on my side because I wanted to shoot a doe with that really bad. Really
cool.
bad. So anyway, pulling up my pants, and I'm trying to buckle it, and I look to my right, and I see antlers, and I see this deer looking at me, and I'm like, oh hell no, this thing's like 30 some yards away. And I thought he was looking at me, and he like disappears behind this tree right at the water in the bank. And I'm like, do I shoot him with the Glock or do I shoot him with the rifle? And as soon as I seen him disappear, I grab my rifle, cock it, and I'm aiming towards the west. And I'm like, please, Lord, just let him step out. Just let him step out. Sure enough, here he comes, and he's going away, kind of. And he turns to the right. He's angled up on the bank, complete broadside. It's like 35 yards at this point, I'm guessing. And I shoot him with my 308. And all of a sudden, I hear my phone go zzz, zzz. And my buddy's like, no, you didn't. And I was like, yeah, dude, I just got done taking a dump, and I shot this monster. And I call him. I'm like, dude, he's a monster. I was like, if you see him come out of these briars, I was like, put another one in him. Let's get him dead, Because it's so wet. I can't hear crashing. I don't hear anything. And I look over back at my shot where I thought I shot him, and noticed there was this big tree that was laying down on the path they walk across. So I don't know if he saw that and was like, I'm just going to turn around and go up and in the honeysuckle, So I was like, you stay in your tree. I'm going to get down, go after him, try to get on some blood. And found the site, and I see it, obviously it's going through the honeysuckle, and I don't know if you've ever tried to go through honeysuckle.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not fun. So basically, I was on my stomach, pushing my rifle in front of me, crawling through his blood trail, and he did like a big loop to my stand. I found him. I called him. I was like, dude, I got him, but I need your help. He's like, all right, how big is he? I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I should have shot him. And so anyway, I'm covered in blood. I look like I just got out of a damn war movie or something. He gets over to me. He's like, that's the 8. I'm like, yeah, it is. We got him dead. And, from that moment on, we were cracking beers. And like I said, we hauled it back up there to the Deer Widows party. And it was next level. Like,
oh, yeah.
So yeah, like I said, when I kill, something crazy happens. So just be
That's awesome.
ready.
That's awesome. For 2022, what's your season goals for deer season?
Uh, my season goal, I would like to tag out completely, just based off of how my kids are going through deer meat like they are now. Um, yeah, I want to tag out, but I guess my like super high goal would be 28 or 2019. I'd really like to do it with my bow. The last 2 years I've shot my buck with rifles. Just haven't got it done with the bow, which is crazy because I put in hell of time. Um, so yeah, I'd really like to pass the score of that buck I shot last year or 2019. Sorry, and we have 2 bucks on camera right now that might be close to doing it, or at least getting up there close to them.
That's awesome, man. Well, hopefully get it done. And I like your idea of this tailgate talk. So
Yeah,
throughout the year this year, if you get an evening where you're free or something, and you just want to talk some deer hunting, we could throw like a weekly series together. Just talk about
yeah.
how our hunts have been going, and kind of team up and put that out on social and stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm down, and that's what's cool with doing it with buddies and stuff around here is you can kind of compare. Maybe out in this county they're having rutting activity, but over here we're not having it. So maybe you down there you're seeing it,
Yeah.
we're not seeing it, or vice versa.
Right.
So I don't know, whatever we can do to help each other on the deer woods, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd
I'm
be
down.
pretty cool for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's fun. Another person that I've met off the old TikTok on here,
Yes,
and
sir.
another Indiana guy. It's always fun to connect with other Indiana folks, especially with throwing this public land hunt together this year. It'd be kind of cool to meet everybody and everything like that. But tell everybody where they can find you and Blue Collar Whitetails on social media.
So we have an Instagram page, Facebook, TikTok. Um, like I said, we're partnered up with Bucks of Indiana and Rackaholic Outdoors. If you guys need cover scents, um, Bucks of Indiana. You shoot a buck or sometimes even a doe. People post up on there. Share your kill. Everybody's happy about it, and it's just really neat to see where these slobs are coming from.
Oh, absolutely, and they're coming from every which direction. You can follow Blue River Bow Hunting. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go Wild. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just about anywhere there's social media content to be had, you can find us on there. Give us a rate and review on our podcast. Let us know what you think of the show. If you like it, if you didn't like it, we'd like to know. But you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll be back again here next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problem, buddy.